talk about the characteristics of Jesus. And so I wanted to talk about the leadership qualities of Jesus. So I just ask, what is a leader in your mind? You know, let me get a couple of answers. What do you guys think of when you think of a leader? How dare you whisper? I said speak out loud. What?
Can you tell me all the way?
Yeah, can you say it out loud?
The thing in the...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Okay. Keep going.
What thing?
Nothing. Surprise.
Oh, I don't like surprises.
It's a little spoon for a surprise. Leadership. You wanted an example? Or you wanted to know what that means?
Both.
Are you wanting
Whatever.
a definition or an example?
I don't care, guys. Just talk about leadership, all right?
Wait, what was the question? I forgot.
Well, what is a leader to you?
Somebody who sets a...
Oh, ice cream! Yay!
Why are you getting the snackies?
Yes.
But wait! But you only get ice cream if you talk.
Okay, you can guard it.
This is my kingdom of ice cream.
Yeah, anyways, so I'm going to go back to what I was saying, which was definitely something relevant. Yeah, a leader is somebody that other people look to for direction. And,
Hey, ladies.
Hey,
Carrie!
Carrie, what are you doing here?
I grabbed an extra chair. Why didn't you tell me? I put it back. It's too late now. You have to
I'll
leave.
stand here. I got off work and I was like...
You missed your best friends? Is that what it was?
I didn't get to hang out with my other friends that are way better than you guys, so... I'm just kidding.
The truth comes out. I knew it.
She's
a lot
been
of people
saying
were
that
good
for
tonight.
weeks.
Well, yeah. Die. Okay.
Jonathan, did we miss a memo or something?
I am wearing blue. I'm always
got
wearing
jeans.
blue. I'm always wearing jeans.
Jonathan doesn't wear anything other than jeans. He owns one pair of shorts.
This is
I've
true.
never seen
and
him
I
wear
sleep
them
in them.
Wait, I've never seen Jonathan wear
It's because he sleeps in them. So, okay.
Sorry, we got real
Are
So
you
what we're-
listening, YouTube?
I hope
Point
Derek thinks this is interesting.
tangent.
So what were you saying? Did you finish your point?
I think so. There might have been more, but I don't think I need to keep talking.
I encourage you to talk all you want, Jonathan, to your heart's desire, your heart's content.
So leadership is a leader is somebody who other people look to for direction and guidance on anything. Be it the workplace, you have a leader who tells people what to do or how to do their job, and you have anywhere else, a leader is somebody who says, this is what you should do, this is what happened to me, this is how I would do it, this is how I recommend you do it, or in some cases it is even do it.
Nice. All right. Carrie, we're talking about leadership.
Okay.
Oh.
Yes,
To
good.
kind of bounce off of what he said about like how to do it and like kind of like teaching someone. A leader could also be like a mentor, someone who takes on the role of teaching either like a younger generation or even just other people. Just like this is how like things should be done. This is how we should treat other people.
Mm-hmm.
This is how like all these things happen. That could be a leader.
Yeah.
It could just be a mentor.
And it's not always on purpose. Sometimes people don't even realize they are giving people direction.
Yeah.
Good job, Rachel. You earned some ice cream. Yay!
You did it! Yay, Rachel!
Wait, was that the one you wanted? Because we have more.
I just grabbed
I don't know
one.
what-
Wait, no, I want that. Please.
No. You only get it if you talk tonight.
Great, I can't.
I want the
I'm
roll-up.
super proud of you.
You know what?
Listen, I'm
You
going
are
to
the
say
sucker.
this even if no one's listening.
I'm listening.
That listens.
I have it in my pocket.
Em's
I'm
the leader,
wearing
guys.
it.
She's the only one who listens.
So, since I'm a leader, do I get to, like, get the ice cream?
I think so.
I already had some.
All the ice cream. Yeah. So would everybody say that like, even if you wouldn't know how to define one, that you would like know a leader when you see it?
Are you expecting me to answer that question?
Shut your
Yes.
face.
Yeah, I'll give you to answer that.
Would anybody describe themselves as a leader?
Lord, no.
Yes. Not on purpose, though.
Okay. So let me say
In
something.
the example of I am an older brother, I have a lot of people
Excellent.
that do, whether I want them to or not, follow my lead.
So okay,
How you
so
look.
let me just say this that some of you maybe won't like to hear this, but it's true. Whether you want to be or not, or whether you realize it or not, everybody is a leader in
Whoa.
some form or fashion. And here's why. Because you have no idea what type of influence you have on the people around you. There is always somebody who is watching the things that you do, the things that you say, and those have an impact on them. And some people are going to follow your lead. You know, even if you're just simply following somebody else's lead. Turn that away from me. I don't want to be a leader. So how do you guys feel about that?
You just contradicted your own statement.
That's what I didn't say I wasn't a leader. I just said I don't want to be.
Then you just have to stop everything to not be a leader.
Never come.
Well,
But
then
then-
people would follow that lead.
I was going to say, people would know.
Yeah.
It goes back to
You
that,
have
like
to cease to exist.
It almost comes back to that whole phrase of if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Yes. Actually.
What?
Without him.
Me.
Friend that jumps off the bridge. You're the reason we asked that question.
I'm talking about
Well, I
like
don't
the
know why I
building
think-
here, the bridge.
Yeah,
Ah.
he jumped up.
Because we're at the bridge.
Oh,
It's
no,
fine.
Never
I
heard that
get
one
it.
before.
It's fine. I hate me too.
But I don't know why I thought of that, but it was kind of like I don't know, it's just something I always heard when I was a kid.
Mhm.
No one's ever heard that.
I'm gonna throw this at you. I'm gonna throw my half-eaten ice cream at your face.
We'll follow your lead.
But no, it was just like something you always hear as a kid. You know, if so and so jumped off a cliff, would you do it too? Because like you think this person's cool and you want to be like them.
Mhm.
But sometimes that's not always the case. Sometimes there's leaders who are, and almost a leader in a negative sense. Sometimes a leader is
sure.
not always a mentor or, someone you can come to for advice. Sometimes it can be someone who leads you into a very dark place.
Exactly.
Like Hitler.
Oh,
That-
I was thinking.
Yeah.
I thought you were saying, like, I see someone that I'm like, I don't want to be like them, and so I do the opposite. Oh, that's what you're
Oh, no, like,
She's just saying like a leader isn't
Yeah, I get it
necessarily.
now.
Okay, well
Yeah.
I'm reiterating it.
yeah, like when...
Thank you.
I don't
Elise.
get it.
Like when kids, whenever kids would do something bad in school, and you're like, oh man, they're so cool, I want to do that too. Or like, I want to be able to get away with stupid stuff like that. But then you kind of sit there and you ask yourself, do I really want to associate myself with these people? Is this a good direction for me?
Mhm.
And then you make the decision for you.
That is an excellent point. I'm really glad you said that because it kind of takes us on to almost a new topic, but it still applies to the whole leadership thing of just like it really matters the people who you surround yourself with. I think most people have probably heard it said, like, I don't know exactly what the number is, but like something like the 5 people that you spend the most time with are like the people you're going to act the most like, right? Basically you're like the sum of your friends, which is true. So surround yourself with people that you want to be like. That's not to say that you should just totally shut people out of your life if they, are not somebody that you necessarily want to be like. But, you look at the life of Jesus, which is, kind of what we're talking about. And who were the biggest influences in his life? Who was he spending most of his time around? Disciples. And who are the disciples?
You want me to name them all?
Huh?
Do you want me to name them all?
Yeah, please list them by name.
Okay, name all of them.
No, I just mean like these are
Oh.
guys who are actively trying to make their lives better. Like they want to be better people, and so that's who Jesus has surrounded himself with is other people who are actively striving to make their lives better. But at the same time, that doesn't keep Jesus from spending time with the tax collectors and, whatever other crappy people out there, right? Jesus finds a way to have that inner circle, but at the same time,
He was able to reach out.
mm-hmm. Yeah, which is an excellent leadership quality.
Good job,
am I
Emma. You
right?
got ice cream. Yay.
I don't want any.
Never mind. Take it
Emma,
away.
eat the
Somebody
ice
else
cream.
do
You're
it.
a leader.
No.
I'll take it.
Give
Take
it to
it.
someone else.
Yes.
If you don't eat the ice cream, others will follow suit and not eat the ice cream.
Okay.
I'm gonna try for like.
I'll
I'm
eat
gonna
it.
try chocolate for like an animal a second.
I'll eat it. I have my
Carrie,
one. Yeah.
I love your pinata statue. That's all I wanted to like. Oh my god, you
I like Carrie's better than Lacey's.
Mine's actually the best one out of the three.
Honestly, at least
It really is.
Stop. We're off track. Go, Grant.
No, I'm comfortable with you guys
No,
talking.
I just wanted to
Okay.
change
Lacey
it.
is gonna die.
I'm gonna put it back in the freezer.
Thank you.
Sorry, I just wanted to say that. 'Cause, like,
Thank you.
they're so cute.
Thank you.
So,
It's like the pinata from that video game.
Stop. It is not that.
It
thing,
is.
Okay, I'm
I
tired
can't
of
remember
What
the name
video
of the game.
game?
You know what I'm talking
Fortnite.
about?
I'm
It's
tired
like
of it.
Viva Pinata or something like
I'm
that.
tired of it.
oh yeah, Viva Pinata. Yeah,
That was
searched it.
before the Fortnite thing.
yeah, we weren't.
Oh, aren't
talking
you
about
guys
Fortnite.
original?
I'm talking about Viva Pinata. You create your own
I don't know
pinata
what
and you
you're
live in a pinata world.
Stop. We're not going to go. Talk.
Yeah.
I'm not talking.
Leadership.
Sorry, I'm being really sarcastic for a leader right now. It's just
Wow, I wish I was as cool as Grant.
I haven't spoken about like not doing it at all. It's just like
about being nice for like a whole entire month.
yeah, I think okay. Look,
Derek
I think
told
you
us
can.
not to be nice.
Derek told you not to be nice.
Yeah.
I was teaching middle schoolers, all right? I was basically telling them, like, hey, why don't you guys not be little punks?
Teach them to be good.
Please tell me you phrase it exactly like that.
Milady. Like, hey, why don't you not do that? Anyway, look, I don't think it's innately bad to be sarcastic. You just have to use discretion and know like when it is and isn't appropriate. Like you
Oh,
can't
that
be
sounds
sarcastic
good.
all the time like I am inclined to be, so I have to watch the words that I say a lot.
Again, welcome to modern world.
Yeah, it's a good time. Okay. So, I'll talk about myself a little bit,
Yeah.
Look, my life is interesting. Everybody just listen,
You bring
okay?
up those calves and I'm good.
Look at that.
Solid.
That is pure muscle. No, it's not. But
Lindsay is dumping you. She's done.
I am. She likes his calves too.
Lindsay, come on. Check out these calves,
One of the
girl.
She's trying to avoid eye contact with you.
Say what?
It's impossible.
Tell you what, if Derek was teaching, it would not have gone this direction. So,
I blame Jonathan for all of it.
What?
all right.
I didn't
So-
make his calves.
Okay.
They made
I've
themselves.
I've been considered a leader within this church for a few years now. Primarily within the youth, since I have up until now technically been considered a youth leader. That was officially my title, so I was a leader. But if I'm being honest, like when I look at my own personality, like I don't personally like see myself as like a leader. Like I don't feel like I possess a ton of leadership qualities. I think
You're just not a good leader.
okay.
Wow.
Whatever, Jonathan.
You took it there.
I'm just saying, like, I think I'm really good at like attaching myself to a group and like, I don't know, like, I don't know how else to say it. Just making a group like more fun, just like by being there. Like, it's not that I created the group and that I'm
You're
like.
the fun leader.
No, that's not what I mean. I'm
He's
not
the
saying
nice leader.
I'm not saying like I'm taking control and I'm saying like, hey, here's like the things that we should do. Like, that's more of Derek's personality, right? And I'm more just like, okay, yeah, tell me what to do. I'll be there and I'll be like your number one cheerleader and all of that. Like I will support you 100% of the way. Like I'm a fantastic second in command. You know what I mean? But I'm not like a very strong go-getter. Like I'm not very organized, so I'm not great at like planning things, you know, which I feel like are necessary things for being a leader. Wouldn't you say so, Karen?
I would say.
She's laughing at me.
For being organized, yeah.
But well, I'm just,
Considering your notes.
huh?
Considering your notes.
Considering my notes, normally I sit down and organize my notes. I did not today.
I
But
think you're a good leader in only the ways that you can be a good leader, not in the ways you think make a good leader.
thank
I don't
you.
think a leader has to be organized.
Yeah.
I'm just.
Well, we've already
it's just-
established you, but everybody's a leader.
Okay, yes.
But I'm just kind of saying, like, how I am, like, inclined to view myself. You know what I'm saying? I agree with you.
You're just thinking what you think about yourself.
Right.
Everyone knows all your deepest secrets.
Yes, I'm
I
trying
think
to
you're
be
an excellent
vulnerable.
example of the
I
kind
get
of
it.
person you should be if you're a person like Grant.
Thank you,
Which
Jonathan.
sounds very oddly specific, but it's not as specific as it is.
That's very sweet. Talk more about me.
Okay. Those calves.
Okay, so
Let's
You know-
get away from Grant's calves.
I'm never wearing shorts here
I can't-
again.
You never make shorts around Jonathan again.
Okay. But despite the way I view myself, like, the reality is, like, certainly as a youth leader, if nothing else, like there are a lot of people that have looked up to me over the years that do follow my example, and you know that's something that I've been able to use to drive myself to try to make myself a better person, a better man of God, and I just think that that's like something for all of us to be aware of is like, and maybe you can't even like off the top of your head like think of a person that you think would look up to you, but like I guarantee you, like even people that you don't think look up to you, like they still see the things that you're doing. They still to some degree follow your example, and I think an interesting thing to keep in mind is like I think of a number of people that I've looked up to over the years, and the last several years, like I've tried very hard to surround myself with good mentors and you know people that I think will be a good influence on me, and that has been very helpful. But we're talking about Jesus' leadership qualities, and I think that's important because even though we have like certain role models in our lives, Jesus is really the ultimate role model for us to look up to. The reason for that being the, you know, mentors that you'll have here on earth and you know, your friends and whoever, they're only human at the end of the day. We're all flawed individuals. We all make mistakes. So yeah, it's good to have those people to influence you, but you have to be able to listen to what they say and see the things that they do and be able to chew the meat and spit out the bones, if that makes sense. You know, it's you just have to,
vegans eat the straw, spit out the sticks.
whatever makes you happy. Is anybody here a vegan? Thanks, Jonathan.
We don't
Are your
worry.
calves vegan?
What?
That's true. It's going on the internet.
Yeah.
Is this going on the internet?
Did you not know that that's where these go?
No.
Did you think
Post these on
Derek just
YouTube.
record them, listen to them later,
Wait,
be like,
what?
"Ah, Grant talked
Do
about
you
it."
really?
Yeah, actually, I don't know. Where does he put it?
On YouTube.
On YouTube. Yeah, we got our own channel.
Who's watching these?
Yeah, we have
Not
just
very
wanting
many
to watch,
It's
you
only
just
like
listen.
4.
Well, YouTube is a video streaming service, all right? It's
This
meant
is
for
a
watching.
podcast.
They're watching the like just the picture of the logo.
YouTube podcast edition.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I mean,
Love
why
to
not?
have some of these
Well, hello, internet strangers.
I mean, why not? I put on podcasts just like to hear in the background, even though they're videos. I just have them on in the background. I don't really
I listen
pay
to a
attention.
lot of podcasts, but I cannot imagine that the things that I'm saying are interesting enough for somebody to like only hear it while they're like absent-mindedly doing something else, and like for this to like keep their attention on that.
Well, they'll probably
You know what I mean?
Like if they listen, they're gonna listen to this part and be like,
This is me just like openly criticizing this whole podcast format. Hey,
Yeah, in the old-
hey! If you do find this interesting, then
Stop
thank
looking
you.
at my phone.
Look! I'm trying to say something important to
You're
the
gonna make
listener
our
right
eyes
now,
dizzy,
and
stop
you're making them dizzy. All right. I hope that there is some good content in here for you, Derek.
The only person listening to these.
Whatever.
They're probably also going to find the calf conversation interesting.
Look, if they're on the internet, they're going to exist for the rest of eternity. So someday, billions of years from now,
Derek's gonna hear
somebody's
this and be like, how do you know?
somebody's going to discover this, and they're going to be blown away by the things that we have to say. Wow, the influence that we have.
They could find photographic evidence of those
Boom,
sweet
bringing it
calves.
back.
We need to talk.
I don't remember where I was. Something.
Something
Jesus.
about Jesus and leadership.
Yes, like
Wait.
Wow.
take the meat, spit out
Chewing-
the
chewing the
entire
meat,
topic
spitting out
of
the
Yes.
bones.
evening, was
Yes,
it?
that was it.
Yes.
Do you want the lines out of this thrown at you?
Which, yeah, okay. So there's a lot of things in this world, a lot of things that aren't so good, and some things that are good. But we have to be able to look at the things of this world and figure out where the good is and separate it from the bad. Does that make sense? And the only reason, or the only way that you're going to be able to tell the difference is, by having a relationship with God, by being familiar with the Word, because that teaches you the heart of God, which gives you the ability to really be able to tell the difference between what is right and what is wrong, because oftentimes what the world says what is right and wrong is very different than what is actually true. Yeah. So back to the whole leadership thing, so I look up to a number of different people, but I can think back on specific occasions in my life where I would think, oh, I shouldn't do this thing because I think that this thing is wrong, but then I'll see somebody that I look up to do that thing, and to me, in my mind, at least at the time, I'm like, well, if this person is doing that, and I know that he's a good person, and he gives me good advice and whatever, then I should be good to do that, right? That is not necessarily the case, and so it's I see these specific moments in my life where it's I knew that something was wrong, but I justified me doing it because somebody that I considered a leader did it. And so I think that means two things for us, which is two things that we've already been talking about, which means for the leaders in our own lives, be able to use your discretion to know the difference between what is good and bad. And as being a leader yourself, understand that the people that look up to you are, if you do something that you shouldn't be doing, it's probably going to cause somebody else to justify their own actions and do that same thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Jonathan, any thoughts?
The creepy smile.
I know what he's thinking about.
I do too. Not positive.
I think yes. I think if you catch yourself as a leader doing something regrettable that other people will notice, I think it's up to you to let them know that you messed up. And if anything, it'll encourage them to be better also. It's a good leadership quality to be able to recognize to yourself and other people around you when you've made a mistake, whether you know how to correct it or not.
Mm-hmm. Nice. It's really good. I actually had a recent example of that with one of the students. I won't say who. Carrie and Alicia no doubt know who I'm talking about. So I'm not gonna say.
Great, you
but I had a moment with this guy that I messed up. I did something stupid, and he got upset at me for it. And in that moment, he was also in the wrong, and I was in the middle of correcting him and saying you shouldn't be doing this, you know better, or whatever. Not in a mom way, but in an older brother type of way. And anyway, and then in the middle of me correcting him, I did something that I shouldn't have done, and I know that that he saw that, and it actually made him mad. But then a few minutes later, after our conversation had ended and whatever, like God like showed that to me and was like, you need to go like address that and tell him that like you were in the wrong too, like that will mean something to him. And so I did, and he was like immediately like grateful that I addressed my mistake, and so yes, that was good. I didn't have anything about that in my notes, so thank you. Being a good leader, yeah, good stuff. So I'm going to attempt to tie in sort of what I'm going through at the moment to this subject. So I have just stepped down as a youth leader, and back off, man. And and like half of you guys at least like know that this is like a big thing for me, because I've been a youth leader like my whole adult life. I have put a lot of passion into doing this. Like I really care about these students, and I've been really happy to be a part of their lives for so long. And
Sounds like a
I've
big
put
thing, man.
a lot of time and energy into this over the years. Even just what
I said, sounds like a big thing, man.
it is. Thank you. I like the awkward silences. But okay, so anyway, the reason I stepped down though, I mean, there was a number of reasons to do it, but the main thing was that like I felt God telling me like it's time for you to move on, like it's time for you to start the next chapter of your life. And so like I told Jen, the youth pastor, back in like May that I was stepping down, and like I've spent the whole summer just sitting there going like, well, what's next? Like, what am I going to do? What am I going to put all this energy towards? Like I even spoke in youth like 2 weeks ago talking about like passion, and I was like this is what I'm passionate about, but now I have nothing to be passionate about, and what it was, I mean, this whole thing is just me trusting in God, and knowing that he has something else for me. And that has not been fully fleshed out yet, but it's interesting to note, last Wednesday night was like my last official day as a youth leader. It was like the last service that I did. And then the next day, someone re-entered my life. And an old friend of mine who I've kept up with over the years, like suddenly messaged me and said, "Hey man, I'm back in Tulsa. Would you like to get together and hang out?" And this friend was, one of my best friends growing up, like certainly in middle school. We stayed really tight throughout high school. We did drugs together in high school. After high school, we went very different directions, because obviously like I ended up, trying to live my life for God after high school, and have been striving very hard the last several years to live a godly life, whereas he has, completely alienated himself from the church. He has gone through so many things that I can't even imagine. He's been addicted to several different drugs. He's thankfully clean now. I mean, the past year of his life, I've been loosely keeping up with him through social media and everything. And I've had conversations with other mutual friends of ours, and I've said to them, like, I am terrified for his life right now. Like, I think he's either going to overdose or he's going to kill himself. Like, I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't know what I can do about it. And, and I'm thankful that he's in a state where he's not in drugs anymore, hopefully permanently. And he does not appear to be suicidal, and that's great. He's come a long way in the last several months, but he's still gone through a lot of things. And all of that being said, like, I don't think that it was a coincidence that God suddenly brought him back into my life like the day after I knew that there was going to be like a certain emptiness, stepping down from my leadership role here. And so, I don't know, it's just kind of an interesting thing to think about. And the last month or so, I've had several people like reiterate like the same thing to me, like individually. Like I've just been like talking to people one-on-one, and they've like been telling me like the exact same like characteristics of my personality, which is basically that like those people that I'm like really close to, like do happen to I don't know, follow my example, if you will. I want to be humble. Because again, I really don't see myself that way, but this is something that has been reiterated to me several times just in the last month. I've had 3 different people tell me that. And, you know, this friend of mine, you know, I don't think that he's just going to, like, immediately, like, turn his life around just because he's hanging out with me again or anything. But, you know, I think that I have this opportunity to, you know, really rebuild that friendship and for us to be close and for hopefully for that influence to set in, you know, to plant a seed, if you will. It's not even just him either. Like, so we went and got coffee on Sunday. That was the first time we hung out, and then I actually hung out with him again just tonight, right before I came here. But after we got coffee, like, still, like none of that had, like, set in my mind. Like, you know, I hadn't realized yet, like, that he had messaged me the day after, like, on Thursday, you know. But it was Thursday evening. I was just kind of, like, sitting there, and I was contemplating and then sort of talking to God a little bit in my head, and like, he kind of just, like, laid that on my heart. He was like, it's not a coincidence that he messaged you on Thursday, and, you know, it's not a coincidence that these people have been saying the same thing to you. And I started to not just think about this friend, but I started to think of these other friends who I've kept up with over the years, but maybe, like, at the moment I'm not really close to. And, like, the reason that I'm not super close with any of these people right now is because I have made that you know, active decision to surround myself with people that I thought would be a better influence on me, and because I know that in the past I have been susceptible to letting these people pull me down. Does that make sense? Like, I love them, I care about them, and therefore I've kept up with them over the years. I've wanted to stay close, but I've had to distance myself some because I know that if I'm around them too much, that they can bring me down. And, you know, so what it felt like God was telling me on Sunday was like, okay, like, it's time. Like, it's time to bring some of these people back into your life, like, in a closer proximity. Like, you're in a place now where you can stand up against the things that they're doing and not be forced to do those things too. Because if I'm being honest, like, even, like, in the years since I've been a youth leader, you know, like, there have been times in my life where I have not done the best job of living the life of integrity that I want to put out there, which is a super important leadership quality, by the way. You know, doing the things that you say when nobody is looking. And there have definitely been times where I have not been doing that. You know, but I feel like I'm in a place now where I have the right people positioned around me to keep me strong, and now I can go back to these friends and have that influence, you know, which, yeah, that's leadership quality. I mean, that's trying to follow Jesus' example of, like, you know, like, I still want the people that I spend the most time around to be those people that are going to lift me up, but to be able to be a part of these other people's lives and for me to be a bigger influence on them than they are on me.